Welcome to the Vandal Theory, a podcast about science and research at University of Idaho. I'm Danae Lenz, External Communications Coordinator at U of I, and host of our America 250 summer mini-season exploring U of I's place in the American story. Over the last few episodes, we've looked at how U of I was founded and how it has served both Idaho and the nation. But as we mark America's 250th anniversary, another question remains. How do we remember and learn from that history? Today we're talking with Dulce Kersting-Lark, Head of Special Collections and Archives at University of Idaho Library, about records that preserve our shared past and why understanding history can help us better understand the communities we live in today. Let's see what the past can teach us. Hi, Dulce. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Can you start just by introducing yourself? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
I am the head of special collections and archives at the University of Idaho Library. It's the greatest job in the whole state, in my humble opinion, and I love it. And it's been a great position for me. I'm an assistant professor, so I get to do a little bit of instruction and get to go into classrooms, which is really great. But mostly, I get to spend my time in the archives. And I'm a public historian by training, so it's sort of a ideal gig for me. I came to the library after working in a historical society for several years as a public historian. So it's a really great place, and I love the university.
Okay, before we get too deep into anything else, can you just give us a picture of what Special Collections and Archives is, what it looks like?
Yes, we're the basement people at the library. And we love being the basement people. Those of us in special collections and archives, we are sort of jacks of all trade. We provide stewardship and access to a bunch of different types of historical collections. The university's records, while we are not records management, we don't keep every single thing the university's ever produced. We do keep a really extensive record of the business of the university and records that help tell the story of what it would have been like at any given time to be a student or a faculty member or a staff member at the university. So we've got the university records and special collections. We have rare books, which was often the way most academic special collections started, was actually in their rare books collections. These very beautiful first editions and illustrated histories and things that generally librarians did not trust students to check out and take home. So they put them in the special section. So we have some really beautiful rare books. We have a particularly strong rare books collection related to Idaho history and the Pacific Northwest. And then we have what we call our manuscript collections. And those are what you might traditionally think of in an archive, which are boxes of all types of records, photographs, maps, personal papers, company records, all sorts of stuff. So all in, we have somewhere around 25 to 30,000 cubic feet of material that is cared for in special collections and archives.
So, who can use the collection? Do you have to be an active vandal? Do you need a library card? Who can use it? How can they use it? What kinds of things can they use it for?
Well, we always love seeing Vandals and Vandal alums. And whenever we get an email inquiry with a signature of Go Vandals at the bottom, sometimes it gets bumped up the to-do list a little bit. We love our alumni, but really anybody is able to access the materials that we have. We are a public-facing archive. And just like many of the resources in the university library as a whole are available to community patrons, anybody in Idaho can make use of the materials that we hold. The University of Idaho's archives are the second largest archival repository in the state of Idaho, just second to the state archives in Boise. So we have become a de facto regional repository for the history of North Idaho, the Pacific Northwest region, the Inland Empire, and large swaths of Idaho. So we have records that cover things that were happening in Pocatello and Idaho Falls. We have records covering what was happening in Hawaii County. And of course, we have a lot of records about North Idaho.
Okay, so let's get into America 250 a bit. You're an archivist. I assume you know a lot of other archivists. What are you guys excited about with America 250?
Yeah, this is our time to shine. That's how we feel. Let me tell you. We're like, we've been prepping for this for ages. The America 250, the semi-quincentennial, for those of us who wanna feel extra special, we'll say it that way, is, all about, American history, and you really cannot study American history without access to the primary source material that underpins history books, textbooks, lessons. Any Ken Burns documentary you've ever watched is full of panning across beautiful historic documents. Henry Louis Gates in Know Your Roots is always finding historic documents for people's family trees. So we are those people who care for the historic documents. And the fact that this is a chance to really think about how historical records are understood, how historical narratives are written, how a history book comes to be. If you pull your favorite best-selling author off the shelf of a bookstore, that is a representation of hundreds or thousands of hours of work in an archive or multiple archives, doing research, really trying to understand the thoughts of the biography's subject or the internal workings of events that have defined American history. And so as archivists, we're like, yay, people want to see all the stuff we've been taking care of for generations. And yeah, it's really exciting that we can welcome people with a genuine enthusiasm to learn more about how we understand our collective past.
As a historian, and specifically an Idaho historian, what do you most want people to take away from America 250?
Yeah, this is a really great question. Like I said, I am trained as a public historian and I work as an archivist. In both fields, I find it's exciting when people recognize something historically significant happened in the place that they are from. America 250 is very much a recognition of the monumental events of 1776. And those events happened far, far away from where we are in Moscow, Idaho. And it's super important that we as Americans understand what was happening in Pennsylvania and in Virginia and in Massachusetts, along the eastern seaboard. But it's also important that we think about what was happening here in 1776. Who were the people who were here in 1776? How were their lives changed by the events happening in Pennsylvania in Independence Hall, right? And also, July 4th, 1776 is a singular moment in time, but our country is so much more than a singular moment in time. It's 250 years of endurance, of overcoming challenges, of becoming the best version of itself that it can be in any moment. That phrase, a more perfect union, just fits so well, I think. And I really believe that this is an opportunity for people to reflect on our nation's past, to learn things from it. That saying, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it, right? Most historians sort of roll their eyes at that because it feels very simplistic. But it's also like such a great saying for a reason. It sticks with people. And it can present an opportunity to try to learn from our past and to be proud of our past, to take account for what happened in the past. So if listeners, if Idahoans in general will use this moment of commemoration, this moment of celebration to think what was happening in my community in 1776 or in 1876 or in 1976. And how does that make the world I see around me today? How does that define what Idaho is today? I think that they will feel more connected to the state and they will feel like they understand it a little bit better. I know we live in an age of like infinite information, but just having a basic sense of what happened and when can give you um, a good grounding in how we got to our present day. And knowing that a lot of our neighbors here in Idaho are not from Idaho. And maybe they weren't even here 3 years ago, right? We're the second fastest growing state in the country. And so there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of learning to happen in community with one another. Celebration, commemoration, reflection, all of those things. And your local friendly archivist at your state land grant institution or your county historical society or your public library, all of those folks are ready to welcome you in and help you learn more about the past that defines your community.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I hope you have a wonderful semi-quincentennial.
Thank you so much. I am looking forward to it, and I'm sure I will eat my fair share of hot dogs to celebrate.
Thank you for listening to this special summer mini-season of the Vandal Theory podcast. You can visit our website at go.uidaho.edu/vandaltheory to learn more about our research. Email us at vandaltheory@uidaho.edu. We are on all of the podcasting platforms, so please rate and review and subscribe. I'm Danae Lenz. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the fall when we return for season 12 of the Vandal Theory.